Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 9 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Repairs. First of all, sorry this one's going up a good bit behind schedule. What can I say? The holidays really slammed me, both with just what I was doing for the holidays and everything that was going on at work. So we're gearing up for some big stuff next week at my job. So everybody's kind of running around with chickens like chickens with their heads cut off, and I keep getting drafted to help out. So, oh well, c'est la vie, right? Anyway, overall, I thought this was an okay episode. I don't think it was quite as strong as the last two that we've seen. But anyway, let's just kind of get right into things. First of all, I really don't have a whole lot to say about this whole thing with Fitz and Simmons and their whole trying to prank Skye. You know, I think we've gotten plenty of Fitz and Simmons recently. And while it's good that the show is learning to sort of juggle the B-plot a little bit more, this just doesn't really seem like it adds anything to the story. And in fact, I really think it kind of trying to just do such a enormous dichotomy between, you know, serious and scary and ridiculous and silly, it doesn't work. Now, I get it that this was also all supposed to be leading into the big reveal at the end, where we see that May has, you know, pulled a prank on Fitz. You know, a little bit of her old self has come back, and that's all well and good, but this episode just doesn't quite make it work. And at the end of the day, this is really kind of Melinda May's episode. I keep calling her Matilda because my coworker has a daughter named Matilda, who I see quite frequently running around. So, yeah. Anyway, but kind of getting right into this thing. First of all, there was a little bit of stuff at the early beginning where we see that the woman is visiting a Roxxon gas station. Now, I think they actually had Roxxon mentioned or was shown briefly in Iron Man 2, but in the comics, Roxxon is basically your standard issue evil oil company, except that they have a tendency to hire supervillains in order to help maintain their competitive advantage. Anyway, while I was watching that scene at the gas station and just watching the lady freak out going, it's not me, it actually kind of occurred to me, it's like, hey, wouldn't it be interesting and very Joss Whedon if it turned out that it really isn't her, this isn't your standard superhuman with their powers out of control? What if it really is somebody who is using their powers to strike back at people who bother this lady? You know, kind of like some sort of, you know, stalker. And lo and behold, that's basically what happened. I was like, wow, I can't believe I got that right. I guess watching all those old episodes of Buffy have yeah, kind of come into handy occasionally when you know how to well, if you can learn to think like Joss Whedon thinks, at least occasionally. Anyway. So let me see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at my notes here and try and remember what some of these meant from having written these several days ago. Anyway, as I said, this is the big Melinda May episode. And here we kind of get a basic idea of what's going on with her and, you know, how she earned the nickname the Cavalry. I mean, the details really are, at the end of the day, aren't that important. But it's interesting to me that Coulson says that even he doesn't know what exactly happened to Melinda in that building with the rogue superhuman. And, well, okay, Agent Coulson, don't you have like level 6 or... Well, you probably had lower clearance at the time, but, you know, considering how much you obviously care about her, how high is this thing classified that you haven't at some point in the past, if you have access to it, gone and checked out to find, like, hey, what the heck happened to this person who's my friend? And I don't believe really for a minute that this whole thing of whoever that rogue superhuman was is just going to be left a mystery. This is so obviously a setup for whoever that person was turning out to be alive after all. And yeah, now who it could be, well, they did mention that they had the people were basically kind of worshiping this person, so that opens up some possibilities. Like the first person who jumps to my mind is Zebediah Kilgrave, the Purple Man, but it's actually been announced that with Marvel's deal with Netflix, they're going to be doing stuff involving the character of Jessica Jones, and Purple Man is big, 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 big in her backstory. So I think if they're going to do a Marvel Universe version of Purple Man, and yes, he has an insanely ridiculous name, but he is actually quite a scary dude. He's somebody who really has mind control powers and really, really gets off on enslaving people with them. He's quite a disturbing individual. And anyway, so ultimately this episode is kind of a journey here. We get to see Melinda May kind of dealing with awakening a little bit of her old self, and showing some compassion. And this is one of the things that Sky has really been railing against, is that S.H.I.E.L.D. is so incredibly impersonal. Now, granted, Coulson really does try. He does try to be, a friendly and reasonable person. And as long as you're also a friendly and reasonable person, and even if you're not friendly, Coulson will play nice with you. But if you cross that line, then he is somebody who will bring the hammer down on you. Of course, the problem is with Melinda and both with Ward is that they both have absolutely terrible people skills. And considering that this team really are going to have to depend on each other, that this whole thing with their lack of personal skills is really actually a liability. Now Ward, it's really not so obvious. He's a little rough around the edges, but he's shown that he can have conversations. I mean, we see him kind of arguing, and they're basically playing Scrabble with the rest of the team. So whatever faults Ward may have in that area, he's at least able to act like a reasonably decent person, or a reasonably normal human being around the rest of the team. Melinda May, she ain't there. She just sort of sits there and acts really aloof and cold, and you can kind of understand why people really might rub people the wrong way. Now, granted, this is obviously a defense mechanism to deal without not having to worry about getting hurt. People she cares about, blah 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 blah. We've seen this a million times. Okay, so, but I do like that over the course of this episode, she really is forced to, let that out, to show some empathy. And is that her willingness to show empathy and to be honest and to deal with someone's emotions that ultimately lets her be successful in this episode. Not a whole lot to say about the Stalker dude this episode. Obviously his powers are a riff on Nightcrawler from the X-Men, although tying that into Thor and the Nine Worlds, that was smart. I'll give the writers credit for that. I was impressed by that little trick. But what's also interesting is you have to wonder, if Melinda is sort of starting to come out of her shell a bit, how long is it going to be before Sky, who Coulson even goes as far as to say is, Melinda was a lot like you at one point. Well, if Melinda is taking a step in Sky's direction, how long is it going to be before Sky takes a step in Melinda's direction? I mean, yeah, she got busted, but Sky is so clearly heading for a harder fall than that. And one other thing that I really like about this episode is that they talk about how you can't really cling to the person that you used to be. And we've talked about this before on these reviews, I believe. And this is 100% true. Now, there are times in life when we go down the wrong path. We make bad choices. We take up bad habits. And if we're lucky and if we're wise enough, we turn away from those things and kind of go back to a better time, a better path. But even if we do manage to kind of get ourselves away from that, you're never really quite the same person from having walked down the wrong road, even if you get back to a better place. You never can be the person you once were, because everything you do in life stays with you forever, no matter how much you might want to push it away, no matter how much you run from it. You can't escape yourself. And this is something that, frankly, everybody on this show is going to have to deal with in one way, shape, or form or another. your flaws, your fears, the things in your past you're trying to put behind, your expectations. Those are always with you. And you have to sometimes learn to let them go. Otherwise, they consume you. But anyway, guys, I think we're getting a little overly philosophical here, so we're going to call it at this point. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.